Hey guys, I'm Jacob Hansen. I'm gonna be taking you guys into an inside look into my life and how I pushed myself to become a Division One football player. So really, starting back when I was young, 10 years old, that was when I first got into sports. Because before that, I really had no outlet in life. I was a young kid. All I do is watch YouTube, quite honestly. I was the definition of an iPad kid, so much to the point where I had physical therapy for looking down at my screen too much and holding my iPad. I had to get physical therapy for my neck. So the definition of someone who had no drive, and I didn't expect to. I mean, I was 10 years old. Like, I can't blame myself. But the big thing with that is my parents never pushed me to get into sports, and I'm completely okay with that. But really, I met some friends, and the big thing was they wanted me to get into basketball right away. So I ended up doing basketball, and it was fun. I loved it. Like, just playing a sport for fun was something I really enjoyed. And pushing into basketball, the next thing that happened is I ended up going straight into baseball. Those same coaches pushed me to play baseball, and quite honestly, I liked baseball more. Just I was a third baseman, a little bit of outfield, and it was just fun. I love swinging the bat, hitting some bombs. I really didn't hit many, but trying to hit bombs and just becoming the best version of myself. It was fun, and there wasn't any pressure at that point. I was still young, 10 years old, like I believe it was fourth grade, and it was fun to me. Then the big thing switched, right? I still didn't have an identity. I liked those sports. I loved them, but it wasn't like my favorite thing in the world. And one of my coaches, Coach Prosky, pushed me to play football. And that's when I'd say things really changed for me. With football, I still didn't really have a direction at this point. It was my first time playing, and my dad had actually asked me to play when I was younger, right? Second, third grade through Pop Warner. And I said no, right? Crazy thing now I'm a Division One football player, and back then I refused to play. It just wasn't who I was at that time. I didn't know how to work hard. I didn't know what sports were. So I simply refused. But going into that fourth grade, I ended up, that Coach Prosky pushed me to play, and I was decent. I was a fat little kid at the time. I was chubby. I didn't have much going for me. I played O-line, as crazy as it sounds, O-line and D-line, and I was just happy to be on the team. It was hard work, but I fondly remember. Like, the biggest thing I remember is the bubble gum mouth guard. Like, when you're a little kid, always getting those mouth guards and just chewing on that all practice. But it was something that it gave me a little bit of an outlet, and I knew it'd be something that would turn into a lot more for me in the future. And with that, right, I wasn't confident in my body. I was a chubby little kid, and I always saw people who looked better than me, like even as a youngin'. Like, I wanted to look like the guys on the magazines, be big and strong. And that's what I wanted. Even as a little kid, I knew that. And I knew I wasn't at that place. So I ended up going through another season of training in sports, and we ended up getting to going into seventh grade. So 2 more years of sports. And with that, I actually started training, but it wasn't exactly what you'd think. So at this point, I started doing long distance running, as crazy as it sounds. I was 12 years old, and I ran a half marathon because I wanted to get in shape. And I thought at the time, I'm like, this is something I can try, get me in shape. I was doing it with baseball too. Like, I remember back in the day, I'd go 2-hour baseball practice, then followed by like a 7 or 8 mile run. And that was just my standard, right? I always had that in me to work hard. It was just I never knew exactly what I wanted to work hard on. So I ended up just doing that long distance running, ran a half marathon. It was something fun, but really didn't push me towards anything. And I knew I kind of needed to make a switch when at one point I was doing a training run with school. We were doing a 23-second drill, so a sprint. And one of my friends that had always been faster than, like, ended up beating me. And I vividly remember, like, this is the time I need to change and actually start being serious about football. Because at this point, football is still my main passion. I just didn't know anything when I was doing my training. So for my 13th birthday, I ended up getting a power rack as my birthday gift, right? Not the normal 13-year-old birthday gift, not an iPad or something like that, iPhone. I got a literal power rack and the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And 800 pages of that book, I ate through that in 4 days, 200 pages a day. Like, I knew this was something I loved. I saw him, and I was like, this is what I want to be like. I want to train hard and become the best football player I could, and I was willing to do what it took to get there. So I was training hard, right? That was something I always did, but I didn't have that structure. I was lifting solo, lifting at my house. No coach ever supervised me, like, really. I just went by feel. There's some old clips of me, my form absolutely atrocious, doing some like pull downs here. god awful. And really, that was a big reason why I didn't see any progress. Like, I gained a little bit of muscle, as anyone would who just picked up a dumbbell, but I didn't really eat right. Like, I ate good foods, but I didn't eat enough. My training form was shit. I used some progressive overload, but it was never exactly what I wanted. But then COVID hit, and that's really when I took things more seriously. Like, everyone's lives changed, and I would say mine changed for the better, right? It was nowhere near where I wanted to be, but I was able to dial in my training. I could train. I took a couple friends over to the house. I trained with them. We held each other accountable, and we learned as we went. And quite honestly, back in that 7th grade, that is one of the most fond memories I've had of just training hard with my guys, like different friends, Aiden, Kali, going through leg workouts from hell, right? It was so much fun just being free and working hard even though we didn't know what we were doing. As I kept progressing, I went through, right, got into high school, and going into my freshman year of high school, that was one of the hardest times I've ever trained. I knew a little bit more at this point. I was training with the school, but we'd lift and run for 2 hours. I'd get back to the field for an hour every single day. I do a lot with recovery, stretching, all that. And it ended up paying off for my freshman year. I'd say I started on varsity for game 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but that's when the 4th game, I ended up having a collarbone injury. I got tackled wrong, completely broke it, shattered in half, and that was the end of my freshman season. I was happy with how I did. I started at running back and linebacker, and I knew I had that potential, but there was still nothing in that national level, statewide level that I was looking for. I had potential and promise, but I knew there was still a lot missing. Trained hard my sophomore year. At this point, I learned a little bit more about training. Still never discovered anything groundbreaking at this point. And I came into my sophomore year, and I did a lot better. I played all 9 games, finished with 75 tackles, and ended up going all-conference running back and linebacker. So it was something I was proud of. But the team as a whole, we went 1-8. Not something to be proud of necessarily. So I knew something would need to change at some point. And for me, I'd always wanted to find a better environment that made sense for me. And through camps I went to in the past, I went to IMG Academy camps, and I really loved it there. And I told the coaches when I was there, it was like my junior year, like that's when I'd actually come. And that junior year came around, and I made the decision, right? I wanted to be in a better environment and push myself to become the best person I could. So I was surrounded by other elite athletes, mentors, coaches, all that, to push myself to that Division I level that I am now and that I'm looking for. Like, quite honestly, without going there, I don't know where I'd be at right now. I do not think I'd be here at Furman University for sure, and I don't think I'd be D1, quite honestly. IMG Academy is where I end up getting introduced to that triphasic training model that I'm currently seeing all the success with myself and with my athletes. So that's really, I learned it there in season, and it was a dumbed down version because we were in season, but I did extensive research after that season in November. I remember I read through multiple books by Cal Dietz, the person who created the triphasic methodology, to implement it into myself, because I always had that drive that I want to be more. I didn't go to IMG for no reason to just have football be a hobby, do it 50% in, 50% out. I want to be 100% in it with it, and I knew I was going back home in spring, and I had to take advantage of that. So I looked into that training, read plenty of books, and I developed the model that would actually work for me, right? I didn't create it myself, but I fit it to my needs to become successful. That offseason got really mundane for me. Like, it was 4 or 5 months with 0 other training obligations. And like, I didn't expect it because I never had that much time to train on my own in a system that actually worked. And I wasn't sure if the results were paying off, because it was tough just looking at myself in the mirror every day, feeling like I'm seeing the same exact thing. My lifts are getting better. I'm getting a lot stronger, but I don't know if it's really working until I got to my senior season. In my senior season, that's when I really noticed, like, this really paid off for me. So I ended up gaining 20 pounds of muscle, and then I added 2 miles per hour to my top speed. And how I found out, it was like my junior year, my top speed was a 19.1 on our Catapult, which is our GPS tracker. First game of the year, my senior year, I hit 21.2 chasing down someone on a tackle. Absolutely moving out there. Caught like a slot receiver from like 8 yards behind him like that, or something crazy. And that's kind of when I knew, like, this training made sense for me too. Like, we tested our 40s. I dropped 0.3 seconds off my 40. And also in that spring, I worked to do some 5.10.5s in combine training. And I ended up hitting a 4.05 laser time, just something I was very proud of. Then, right, it paid off for my actual play on the field. My junior year, I ended up having 40 tackles. And, I wasn't exactly proud of what I did because it was a big transitioning moment. Like, I know the first game of the year there, I ended up missing about 5 tackles. So I felt like I was still playing like I was back in Green Bay, back home, where everyone's a lot slower compared to like Central Florida. It's really a night and day difference. And I played, quite honestly, terrible. So then I was kind of working through that all year. I got moved to a nickel early in the season, which I wasn't a fan of. Got switched back to inside linebacker, and I ended up doing a little better. But then when I hit my senior year, that's when things changed from this triphasic methodology. I had 40 tackles my junior year. My senior year, I set the school record with 40 tackles for loss, absolutely smashing it from the school record from the year before, which was 22 tackles for loss. And then, too, I finished with 140 tackles. I don't know if that was a school record, but that's something you're not seeing many guys doing. I was averaging, I think, 11, 12 tackles a game, something absolutely absurd. And really, the biggest thing I play credit to was that triphasic methodology. Right? I did a lot of field work. Obviously, I worked hard, but the biggest thing was my physical development. Those 20 pounds, that 2 miles per hour on my top speed, getting down to that 4.05, 5.10.5, I was one of the most athletically dominant people on the field. Like, that's what got me into the position I am today of having the opportunity to be at a D1 school, playing football and living out the dreams that I've always wanted to. At this point, I knew like I was serious, and I ended up having like a mentality change because being at IMG, honestly, I was surrounded by killers all the time. It's guys, 4 and 5-star guys. I'm seeing them every day, seeing what they're doing and understanding the process that they go through that got them to that point, and then trying to implement that to me to be in that same successful position. And I really feel that I executed very well with that, right? My senior year, I ended up doing exactly what I just said, those 140 tackles, that 40 tackles for loss, and I ended up becoming the defensive player of the year for my team, which I was very proud of. But honestly, I was more proud of the mentality shift I had. I went from being someone who was like unsure, right? I invested into myself going to IMG, but unsure if things would work out, to focusing on the process of that whole offseason, doing that triphasic methodology, training by myself for months on end. Like, I learned a lot about myself. And I was proud of that mentality shift I had from just being like someone who's just going through it to knowing I'm going to chase something, I'm going to be successful at it. And that's what I found in my senior year. And with that mentality shift, like, I was even more proud of myself earning the captain's award, basically a team captain, like the team captain that your team looked up to for the entire year through my character, my hard work, and my play on the field. And that meant more to me because it encompassed everything I did and worked for in my whole life up until that moment, right? All the struggles I went through early, not knowing myself, all the ups and downs of training hard, not thinking it's going to work, but it all came down to people saw what I was doing and trusted and believed in me to lead a team on the field and off the field, making the right decisions. At that point, it was the end of the season, and that's like when I started dreaming bigger with football and without football. I was committed to Missouri State during that entire season, and I was happy with it, but things fell through. The commitment didn't end up working. The numbers, for some reason, they just didn't work, and I was out of a position to be on a full scholarship at a Division I school, and that's okay because it got me to this position that I am here today. But the amount of adversity I went through with that was bad, right? It was a bad week of my entire life. I was back home on a hurricane. The past relationship I was in, that ended that same week. I had to decommit all in the span of like 3 or 4 days, and it was tough, right? But it made me into the person that was able to strive my senior season. I came back after that week, and I came back like nothing happened. I had 0 practice that week because of the hurricane. I showed up to the game. It was like my best game of the year, and that kind of shows to the person I was becoming because of all the discipline and all the training I'm doing to really just be the best version of myself, right? I'm looking at more than just being a football player. I know football is going to be done at some point, and I just got to live with that, right? You can't play football forever, but I'm looking to become the best version of myself to develop into a good man in life. It's not just about football. It's about myself and helping the people I care about, like my family. Like I was saying, I found that spark a little bit. I found that I wanted to push myself more outside of football, and that's exactly what I did, but it didn't happen immediately. I came home after graduating in December, and I was still looking for a home with school, and I was just at home doing some online school, nothing too much, and quite honestly, it was a rough time. Like, for about 3 months, I kind of did nothing. Like, I'd train all day, I'd work a little bit, on some personal things, but it wasn't fun. It was the same thing every day. And I didn't like have fun with my life. I didn't smile hardly at all. Like, it was a little bit of a depression, quite honestly. And I'm okay saying that because I want you guys to understand I'm not a perfect person. I go through struggles as well, right? Going through that time, it made me into a new person. It gave me time to reflect on what I wanted out of my life and becoming, like I've been saying, the best version that I want to. Eventually, I found my way out of this, but it wasn't exactly easy, or I would have done it. It would have never happened in the first place. The big thing was I was training with a friend, and I ended up talking to one of the coaches at my old high school, and he gave me an opportunity to become a track coach and like interview for the job. And I took the interview. I ended up doing really well, and I got the job as a track coach, and that was something I was super excited about, right? Not a lot was going great in my life at the time. It was kind of all the same thing. Now I had a little bit of structure in my life, go to practice every day, coach other kids up, which I found through my time at IMG and being a leader on the team. I really enjoyed coaching other people up with the knowledge I have and just serving other people. When I was younger, I was very self-oriented. I wanted to be the best person myself, but now I've shifted and I like supporting the people around me because that's just who I am as a person at this point. And I love that I enjoy doing that. And that's why I'm in front of you on the screen right now, right? I'm coaching other athletes and I'm trying to share my message to you guys. Through that track job, I kind of understood more that I loved leading others and coaching others. And that's really what pushed me to become serious about this online fitness coaching that I've been talking about. I built out this online coaching to serve others because I understood that was my passion outside of football. I loved helping others, and I ended up getting things rolling with that. And I was happy with it, right? I made a little bit of money. All that money that I took, I invested back into a mentorship to help serve more people, right? I was working with a couple athletes, and it was going decent. I made some money, but I put that all back in so I could get to a larger scale, to a point where I'm at right now, so more people can see me and I can serve more athletes to make them in the best versions of themselves. Because that, quite honestly, in my personal life, is what I want. I want to become my best version of myself and help serve everyone else to become that best version of themselves. Helping these athletes, like, quite honestly, end up becoming an obsession. Whenever I get going on something, I go 100% at it and I don't stop until I get what I want, right? So that obsession is I'm posting every day. I'm checking with my clients every day. I'm working with them, building programs every day to make them the best person they can be. And that obsession has been a critical part of my entire life. Like, not just the coaching, but the football, the academic side, all of that has pushed me to be here at Furman University right now as a Division I athlete, right? I never would have done it without that personal drive that just came from within me. My parents never pushed me. They didn't really. The only time my dad ever pushed me was to try to get me to play football in second or third grade, and I said no. After that point, they never really tried again, and it has all been myself looking to find something greater in myself and serve others. Now I've been coaching these athletes on speed, explosiveness, and strength, and I'm getting them to dominate in 90 days, which is exactly my mission right now, is to help you guys become the best athletes you can. I'm not here to sell you a dream that you are guaranteed to go D1 when you work with me, right? That's not realistic, right? Everyone has where they're at right now and the best version of themselves somewhere out there. And I'm trying to get you to that best version of yourselves. Whether it is D1, 5-star recruit, sure. Or maybe it's just being more in shape, being healthier, being happier with yourself, and truly enjoying the life that you're living. That's what I'm working with, and that's what I want you to become. I'm just giving you the tools to get you what you're looking for. You don't have to be the most gifted. I just want you to have structure and a belief in yourself to put in the work, and also myself, that I've gotten results for other athletes, and I'm going to give you that too. Each athlete that I have is the most important athlete, right? I'm working with a couple guys. Each one's the most important. I want them to see that success because they deserve it, right? They're putting in the work every day. They're checking in with me. They're working with me. They trusted me to get them results, and I want them to have that most success possible. All of those things come together, really, the obsession, the drive from within myself. Those moments early in my childhood when I was like, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was a little bit lost. All those things have came together to push me into the position that I am today here as a Division I linebacker at Furman University. And now serving you guys, and that's why I'm in front of your screen right now, to make you the best version of yourself. And with that, if there's something that you want to become the best athlete, you want to build better habits, you want to change your mindset so you just feel like the person you know you can become, that best version of yourself that is out there, what I want you to do is I have a Calendly link down in the description. And with that, if you are serious about this and you have time, money, and effort you are willing to invest into my system and my coaching, I want you to swipe up, click it, and book a link to talk with me. And it's a free call. We'll be talking about your situation. Obviously, I want to get to know you as a person, and then we'll talk a little bit about my training. If we think that's something that's going to make sense for you, we're going to get to work, and I'm going to transform your life.